All right. When's the first moment that you felt scammed? For some people, it was buying the x-ray goggles on the back of a comic book just to reveal that you actually couldn't see through women's underwear. For others, well, it might have been the sea monkeys, only to discover that they are actually tiny shrimp stuffed inside of a Kool-Aid packet. And if you were an early 2000s kid, like me, you know the greatest scam of them all. Fushigi. This translucent nuclear core had my entire generation strapped to a radiator, absolutely begging for its knowledge and power. When the ads ran on TV, it didn't look like the dude was the one controlling the ball.
It looked like the ball was controlling the dude, okay?
Loaded with mystical wonder and ancient foresight so powerful that the ball could move through 3D space on its own. Eventually, it took a little time, thousands of broken feet after dropping one, and millions of ruined Christmases just to realize, 1, this ball did not actually have any magical properties. 2, the ball is actually used for a sport called contact juggling. And 3, no child has the patience to be able to
Learn contact juggling.
Juggling is for clowns, dude.
We got clowned?
By a clown.
But outside of magic pondering orbs and Kool-Aid packet shrimp, kids in the 2000s, they were introduced to a whole new generation of toys. Tech toys. From Tamagotchi to the iDog. Intertwining technology into toys was all the rage in the mid-2000s. So the moment that I first felt scammed, it was orchestrated by the absolute pocket swindlers over at Mattel after they jumped on this tech toy trend. Mattel, they released a sort of board game in the early 2000s. In this game, it was called Mind Flex. You strapped a sweatband directly to your head with a bunch of 5G radiation soaking directly into your noggin. You concentrated on the ball like you were trying to push a stinker out. And the game would detect your brain activity to make some fans kick on to allow a ball to move up and down. Like any other kids commercial from the early 2000s, they made this game look like it was the absolute pinnacle of entertainment. And if you don't own it, you would die in a nuclear strike, and all of your friends and family would turn into some sewer-dwelling, garbage-eating monsters. So one year at Christmas, I got the Mind Flex. I set it up, I troubleshooted it for hours, and it never worked! You know what? And I'll cut them some slack. Maybe I don't have any brain activity to detect, but that's not up for Mattel to decide, okay? Only the State Board of Education of Indiana. You know what, Trump? Shut up! Put the tariffs on Mattel. I'm with you on this one. Why don't you go ahead and give them a 1,000,000,000% tariff?
Because they ruined my Christmas and probably thousands of others.
Anyway, since everyone has that moment where they feel like that they got scammed out of one thing or another, it has the tendency to make kids and consumers alike a little skeptical when some new groundbreaking technology or product gets launched onto the market. Around the same time, there was one massive tech toy that got released that had scam written all over it, but actually turned out to be a cultural icon and did everything and exactly what the advertising promised it would do. The Nintendo Wii. The first time that you saw ads for the Nintendo Wii, it really looked like it was something that was just way too good to be true. They said that you were able to play video games just by pointing a back massager at the TV and directing its every move like you were an orchestra conductor? Yeah, okay, sure. And I didn't eat a pre-made Velveeta mac and cheese bowl in college and blow the back of my shorts out on the top bunk of our dorm room bed. And out of those two statements, only the first one happened to be true. The Wii, it ended up being a cultural revolution, bringing video games into the houses of over 110 million people worldwide, offering experiences like karting, or first-person shooting, or even an Alvin and the Chipmunks knockoff attempt at a Guitar Hero clone. There was one game that stood supreme as the most recognized, iconic, and universally played game out of the entire Wii franchise, and that was the M&M kart racing game that you would find in the $5 bin at Walmart, or sometimes you would find it hidden, stuffed, tucked away behind some toilet paper at Dollar General. Nah, I'm just playing.
It's Wii Sports, baby!
You know what? All right. I think it's time that we take a deep look into. Wii Sports is a sports simulation game that was released for the Nintendo Wii in November of 2006. Wii Sports was a different kind of game compared to most. You couldn't just pick up a copy of Wii Sports off the shelf at your local Kmart that was either employed by musty rebellious teenagers or racist grandparents. Wii Sports was a copy of a game that came included with every single Wii console at launch. With that being the case, this meant that no matter whose house that owned a Wii that you went to, they always had a copy of Wii Sports. Going over to a friend's house with a Wii is basically the equivalent of going over to a guy's house now who is over the age of 25. You know they're either going to have a meat smoker or a collection of World War II books and memorabilia. And look, I know a game that comes included with a console, that sounds completely outlandish compared to the modern landscape of the video game marketplace. But this was a time when companies actually cared about creating a great experience for their consumers. It used to be such a thrill to be able to save up enough money to buy a console that had a game bundled with it, allowing you to play that game off rip. Being able to come home and unpack that Xbox 360 with a bundled copy of Halo ODST in it and hold it in my hands, that was just a feeling like no other. It felt like this game was made exclusively for us because it came alongside that console. A catered experience, if you will. I couldn't even imagine being a kid today and saving up just enough money to be able to get my hands on one of the newest consoles, only to open it up and only have these free parasitic downloadable games that you can't even hold in your hands. Yes, obviously these free-to-play games like Warzone or Fortnite, they exist. But those aren't really free if you look at the long-term psychological effects of weaponizing microtransactions against our youth. Anyway, psychology behind a pack-in video game is one of the most interesting concepts that used to exist with consoles. What game can be offered that can really showcase the experience of owning this new console? See, but with Wii Sports, Nintendo knew exactly what they were doing here. In 2006, the most interactive gaming experience would have been plugging in your crunchy, bug-covered tent tarp and playing Dance Dance Revolution until your tiny little feet bled. But with the Wii's new breakthrough technology, Nintendo, they wanted to show every single person who bought a copy of the Wii just exactly what this console was capable of. The key to this pack-in game was simplicity and accessibility. Introducing a new concept by roping in an old. When you were unpacking that Wii for the first time and you saw that game, well, Wii Sports is exactly what that game's name lends itself to be. It's playing sports.
On the Wii.
Playing sports with this interactive Comcast remote was the world's first introduction on how to use this new technology. This isn't your typical hold your controller like it's a freshly topped hot dog that you're admiring experience. This new controller and gameplay experience brought you into a game like the world had never seen before. Sidebar, have you ever seen people's solutions online of what to do with your Wii if you lose your sensor bar? They say that the quickest and most effective way to do this is by setting up 2 lit candles right in front of your TV, and it like mimics the infrared sensor bar. It looks like they're summoning a demon or signing a copy of the Declaration of Independence with a giant feather as the Me Parade goes on in the background. Since Wii Sports was a pack-in game in a disc, Nintendo did what companies do best, and they cut some corners. They didn't put Wii Sports in an actual case. They put it inside of one of those like little DVD sleeves that Netflix would use when you would rent DVDs online before the streaming service. This was honestly kind of convenient though, because when you want to get your sport on, it's pretty easy to know exactly what case to look for. Kneel down next to the entertainment console, digging through all the different cases looking for that little sleeve of wonder and whimsy. So when Wii Sports is launched into the main menu, you are given 5 different game options to play: tennis, baseball, bowling, golf, and boxing. After selecting a game to play, then you are given the option to choose on how many players you would like, up to 4 players. Then players are given the option to either be able to select a Mii that they created on their own, or you can choose one of the guest Miis, and then you're just thrown right into the action. I mean, I guess you can go pro. The Wii ushered in a new art style that had not been seen across any other console up until this point. If you really take in the atmosphere of these different locations, like the tennis court, the bowling alley, or the different golf courses, they really nailed in the feeling of realism here. With perfectly green grass, the exact colors of a baseball diamond, the striped lines on golf courses, the look of sadness in my dad-me eyes as I miss a swing at baseball. The one sport that doesn't really feel that real to me is the boxing ring. When you're boxing, if you look out in the crowd, you'll see a bunch of me's sitting out there, and they're either ones that you've created or a bunch of the NPC ones that they kind of fill. There ain't no way that my grandma gonna be at a boxing match, dude. You want a Cornborn Pro Gamer tip? All right, here's a Cornborn Pro Gamer tip for you. If you want the boxing experience to feel a little bit more realistic, go into the Me channel and make a bunch of bald, white, jacked dudes to sit out in the audience. Because I feel like that would feel more like a fighting event. Bald, white dudes
Love contact sports.
and maybe when you're done boxing, that one will come up and interview you.
My balls was hot.
There's other little pieces of charm here that's kind of added in with the art style to indicate either how well or how bad that your character's doing while you're playing a sport. In tennis, for example, if your team just scored, they get little music notes over their head, like they're chirping at the other team to let them know how booty ball butt cheeks they are at playing this game. And if you lost a point, then your characters, they get like a little squiggly mark above their head to show anger, but they end up looking like Pigpen from Charlie Brown. Same with baseball, like if you're absolutely smoking your opponent, the pitcher out on the pitching mound will actually start to sweat. These little art additions, they gave so much character and emotion to the Miis, making you feel the stakes of the game that much higher. In a goofy, cartoonishly world that Nintendo normally offers up, like in Mario or Kirby or Pokemon, Wii Sports was definitely like more of a breath of fresh air into a more familiar and realistic landscape, helping their new intended video game players feel at home. In almost all sports games, the purpose of the game is recreating a sport by utilizing the most professional athletes that play that sport. Whether that be Tiger Woods' PGA Golf Tour, or Tony Hawk Pro Skater, or SpongeBob Slammin' Sluggers. A large part of the appeal of sports games is the same as the appeal for a lot of other video games. You get to step into somebody else's shoes. You get to experience that world as them. This is where Wii changed the interactivity of video games forever. If you lived under a rock for the past 20 years, well, let me just catch you up to speed real quick. One of the Wii's greatest functionalities was your ability to customize and create characters called Miis that lived inside of only your console. The Mii Maker channel on the Wii, it could be considered a game itself if you really wanted to put the time and effort into creating a roster of all your family and friends and your favorite celebrities or whatever. Like, if you didn't have Peter Griffin as a Mii,
Come on, dude. What's wrong with you?
your Mii, it was a digital representation of yourself, or whoever you wanted to be, across a multitude of Wii games. From racing the Mii in Mario Kart Wii, or using your Mii in Super Smash Bros. These little avatars, they became the staple of the console, and let you interact with these games on a level that had not been seen before. But for most people, their first interaction with the Mii was in Wii Sports. When you fire up this game, the only choice of characters that you have to play are either the Miis that you created or the NPC ones that the game offers you. It was so cool seeing your friends and family sit on the sidelines as you played tennis, playing as your grandma and stepping up to the plate to hit a home run out of the park, watching your dad bowl right next to you in a bowling alley, or building a Mii of the dude that you knew that your crush had a crush on so you could go in the boxing ring and actually beat the skin off of his cheeks for real, not locking any perks behind unlockable characters or any sort of cosmetics that you had to buy in an eShop. The Miis were truly a representation of you while you were playing the game, by looks, by action, and by skill level. The Miis truly were the experience that shaped Wii Sports. The music and sound design that was implemented in Wii Sports, it's absolutely bonkers bananas 9000 dope modes. This game had some of the most iconic and recognizable songs to indicate different portions of what was going on in the game. Whether it's the intro soundtrack, the main menu music, or the music that plays after completing a game, the vibe that was created by this game's soundtrack is unmatched. Off rip of launching the game, you are introduced with the most iconic video game theme song that has ever been published. God, I wish I could play it in this video without getting copyright stricken into oblivion. For the sake of this video, I posted a short of me absolutely busting it down to the Wii theme song. Go listen to it. Dude, the first 5 seconds of this theme song unlocks something in my brain that only a Wiimote that a dog has chewed on and 500 beers can cure. When those recorders and piano kick in, you know it's time for celebration and competition. The main keyboard line that hits right after the intro is just so good. It's so simple, yet so iconic for what it's trying to accomplish. It really fits the energy of like any sports network from the late 90s to the early 2000s. Once fired up into the game, the music that plays in the background of the main menu sounds like the type of music that would be pumped into your ear holes while CNN is trying to make a breaking news announcement. Breaking news coming to you tonight. Special reports have indicated that Matt has been placed into custody for being listed on the Epstein flight logs. Outside of the main theme, the best songs in this game normally come after you just finished playing a game or you're about to start playing one. Like that one song that plays right before you make the selection for tennis or after golf, or especially that one after boxing. These songs, they make me want to bust a little move. Or maybe get a little jig on, or perchance hit a little boogie. They're all so fun and upbeat because they have the simplest melodies to them. But that's what makes these songs so extremely memorable and iconic. Gameplay of Wii Sports is actually incredibly easy to figure out. Unless you don't put that wrist strap on, because then you'll have to explain 2 things to your dad, who already has suspicions about you being gay. 1, why do you suck at sports? And 2, why is there a Wii remote 6 inches deep in the center of the plasma TV that he used his Christmas bonus to buy? Let's be real here. Most video games have an extremely tough barrier of entry. Whether it's trying to teach your dad, who's 2 generations older than you, how to operate a soldier on Rust in Modern Warfare 2 for a 1v1 sniper match, or screaming at your girlfriend in Overcooked, like you're Jeremy Allen White in The Bear. There's always some sort of extreme learning curve that makes other people kind of sway away from wanting to game with you. Wii Sports smashes that concept, and it introduced a whole new form of video games that literally anybody could figure out. That means that you could hand your grandma a controller straight out of the box, freshly unwrapped console on Christmas Day, and she could figure out bowling probably within 5 minutes. Want to play baseball? Swing the remote and hit the ball. Bowling? Pull that remote back and toss it like you're throwing a bowling ball down an alley. Boxing? Throw an elderly man into a ring and beat his face in so you can try to prove that you're good at a sport that you actually single-handedly destroyed the integrity of. Tennis is the first sport that's offered for you to play inside of Wii Sports. Once launched into tennis, you have the option to either play a single game, a best of 3 games, or best of 5 games. Wii Tennis, it doesn't allow you to play like a 1v1 on a technical sense because inside of Wii Sports, it's always a 2v2 no matter what. But if you want to play with yourself or less than 4 people, you are given 2 different options. You can either control both of the players that are on your side of the court, or you can randomize it to have an NPC either take the spot of the front player in the court or the one in the back. You even have the option here to play 4v4, and all of them are you. Once you fire up the game, it's all about not trying to look and act like a turd out there on the court. Just like anything else, tennis is all about timing. Thankfully, you don't have to fire off too many brain cells while you're playing Wii Tennis. As your only concern,
Swinging that racket.
you don't have to move your guys across the court. You don't even have to push a button to make them lunge for a hit. You don't even have to make them hang out with Will Smith and run drill. While all this sounds like it would be incredibly easy, you would be so surprised on how long it takes to get that timing down. If you hit that ball too early or too late, it might fly in a completely different direction and go completely out of bounds on the court. Out of all of the different sports, I find myself actually having to lock in the moment and make sure that I hit it at the exact same time that I want to and really focus up to make sure that the ball goes over the net at the intended direction and pace that I want it to. It really took me some time to figure out the rhythm of tennis. Once you get the timing of sending the ball back and forth on different sides of the court, the next move that you need to master is the power serve. This is the secret ingredient to becoming a tennis master and screaming, "Let's go!" like you're Zendaya in Challengers. I'm sorry, but this acting right here, it just always pisses me off. For some reason, that fake flexing and the voice crack that she does, it always takes me out of the realism of this movie. I'm sorry, Tom Holland. I loved you in Spider-Man. Anyway, the way that you get the most powerful serve in all of Wii Sports, it all comes down to that T word that I said earlier. And no, it's not turd. The power serve, it obviously comes from the action of mimicking throwing the ball up in the air and hitting it. But there's going to be a lot of times where you throw it up in the air and you try to hit it and you don't get that power serve. And trust me, you'll know when you get the power serve. You have to throw the ball up in the air, and as soon as it's at the absolute peak of the toss, you whip it, and it absolutely cooks across the court, and it leaves your opponents looking and acting like a
Bunch of turds.
Outside of the power serve, there's also a few other different mechanics that you need to know while playing this game, and those are the different ways that you hit the ball. This is called the front hand or the backhand. I have absolutely no idea what the difference of those hits are in real tennis, but in Wii tennis, it kind of feels like the front hand. It kind of feels like there's like a lot more power and like intentional direction to it. And with the backhand, it's like a little more, when you hit it, it like kind of cooks over the net and lands right in front of the player so they can volley it back. I don't know. If you're a tennis player, drop in the comments and see if I got that right. I don't know. Now, obviously, like about with going pro, as the levels rank up, challengers, they get harder and actually make the gameplay extremely interesting. Tennis is incredibly dope, and for being the first game on this list, it does a great job of introducing you on how to get more accustomed into the gameplay. Baseball, America's favorite pastime. Except for dividing the population up based on a culture war on how sexy the green M&M is. When you fire up baseball, you're walked down a line of all the different Miis that you've created on your system, or they provide you with a bunch of NPC ones for you to play as. You have two options here. Pitch the ball, hit the ball. For batting, it's just like tennis. Turd. Timing. You gotta wait till that ball is directly in line with your bat so you can hit it and drive it out of the park. Because if it's not, you'll either foul it, send it right up into the air for Matt to catch it, or you'll just miss. Pitching is a different ball game. There are little things that you can do here to switch up your pitch on the batter. What I've learned is that flick, like you don't want to absolutely whip your arm. If you just hit like a little flick with the controller, I think it tricks the controller into thinking that you actually just blew your shoulder out, and it will throw a Kenny Powers level fastball at them. Or if you hold down the A button, it'll hit them with a curveball. If you hit them with the B button, it'll hit them with a screwball. And if you hit A and B, it'll hit them with the splitter. Changing up your pitching style is actually crucial if you're trying to win during your inning, because it'll throw them off. And if they're expecting a fastball, you hit them with the screwball. If they're expecting a screwball, you hit them with the splitter. And then they'll never know when to hit the ball. This game, baseball, I've realized that it's a little more fun when you play it with other people compared to then just playing it by yourself. If you're playing baseball, the NPC's pitching, it just feels a little predictable. And then when you're pitching, if you throw anything else besides a fastball to the NPCs, they just stand there like a sorority chick who just got pulled over and she's getting field sobriety tested after she left a keg social with Sigma Chi. Out of all the Wii Sports, baseball is my least favorite. While baseball is objectively my favorite sport to watch, actually playing a digital version of it is such a snooze fest. I go to baseball games to throw 10 hot dogs, slurp down 5 beer bats, and watch 2 Sox players argue with each other over which one is a bigger pile of garbage. Yeah, that's right. This channel proudly promotes Sox slander. Guaranteed rate field smells like
Pee.
If you say that you've gone your entire life and never played Wii bowling before, I would call you a charlatan, a liar, a fraud, shadow of a human, and a witch. I burn you at the stake! Bowling is the most iconic game that exists within inside of Wii Sports. Talk about immersion. This game really hammers in that experience of feeling like you're standing in a bowling alley that's got cigarette smoke baked into its walls. A toddler running around with a loaded diaper at its ankles. And seeing your childhood friend's dad sitting over at 2 lanes over. He just drank an entire pitcher of Miller Lite. He's sitting there with his mistress after a long day at
AutoZone.
But just like the other games, there's an extreme sense of familiarity here when starting up this game. Bowling is bowling. You gotta throw the ball and knock down the pins. There are a few different sets of variables here that can really affect on how your score turns out. For starters, you can adjust the position of where your player is standing in the lane. Using the left and right buttons on the D-pad, you can shift your player over to determine where the ball goes. Another option here is you can push down on the A button, and it'll adjust the angle of where your character is throwing the ball. Outside of the physical controls to adjust your character, the amount of force that you put on the controller when you throw it can actually affect the direction of where the ball is going to go. If you swing too soft, the ball will go extremely slow. And if you throw that ball with the force of 1,000 suns, you will send those pins flying in every direction of the expandable cosmos that the human mind can comprehend. Alongside of the force of the throw, the angle that you actually have the remote tilted at as you throw the ball, that will also determine how the ball rolls. If you angle it more left or right, you will get more of a hook shot. And if you toss it straight down the middle, you will get a direct line of fire. Here's another corn-born pro gamer tip. Use the top button on your D-pad to look down the alley. Use the right button on your controller to scoot all the way over to the first triangle on your right and have that red line sit directly on top of it. Crack your arm back like you're trying to scratch the back of your head without bending your arm. Throw that puppy with the force of 1,000 armies. Good odds you'll get yourself a strike. Bowling has to be up there as one of the most fun games in Wii Sports. It's really easy to just get sucked into it and just try over and over again to try to find that sweet spot and that sweet amount of force to try to hit a strike every single time. Even after this video comes out, I will definitely continue to fire up Wii Bowling, toss on a bowling shirt, eat a plate of cheese fries, drink an entire pitcher of Miller Lite, throw some Metallica on the touch tunes, and show those divorced me's in the alley just exactly how much
machismo I got.
And after some time, who knows, maybe I'll go for the world record. The current world record holder for the most amount of perfect games bowled is a guy named John Bates. He was 85 when he set that record in his nursing home in 2011. So that means if he was alive today, he would be 99 years old. John, I'm going to take a page out of Jake Paul's book right now. I challenge you to a public game of Wii Bowling. I'm 25. You're 99. This seems fair. And if you're not alive, I'm going to set some candles up next to my Wii so I can bring you back for
One last game, buddy.
Golf is the 4th sport that you can pick while you're playing Wii Sports. After firing up golf, you are given the option to play a 3-hole game, a 9-hole game. The way that golf's gameplay operates, it's on par with all the other games. I'm back! Mimic the motion of swinging a golf club to hit the ball. But this is where details really matter, because the details here, they actually really help cater in the experience of immersion while playing golf. There are so many different factors here that can actually affect your score of playing just like in real golf. Starting off, first thing is they give you a variety of different options of golf clubs that you can use while you're playing out on the course. For long shots, they give you a driver. For medium range shots, they give you a wedge. And for short range, they'll give you a putter. Every time it is your turn to play, they automatically just give you the most realistic club that makes sense in that situation. But there is a bit of freedom here. Like in a bunker or out in the rough or something, normally they'll just give you a wedge and they'll say, you can only use this, and you can only use this much power. And what do I do in these situations? Probably would be shunned by legitimate golf pros, but I switched that baby to the driver and I smacked that boy absolutely as hard as possible to get as close as I can to the hole. Another feature here that's rich with a lot of realism is the fact that there's different elevation portions when you're on the green next to the hole. If you push the 1 button on your controller, it will actually show you the elevation of the course, telling you if you need to adjust your shot either left or right, based on the different slope of the green. The last major feature here that you need to consider while you're playing golf is the wind meter. Up in the right-hand corner, there is an arrow that points in the direction of where the wind is going, and it'll even tell you the miles per hour that the wind is coming that will affect where your ball ends up. Golf, it's probably my favorite Wii Sports game to play. I think it has something to do with me actually wanting to play golf in real life, but God actually just had to smite me down and give me the least amount of athletic ability of any person on this entire planet. It just feels so calculated to line up your shot. Practice that swing. Take into consideration the wind and absolutely Happy Gilmore that ball down the course. It really just makes me want to throw a polo on, get inside of a BMW, and start selling as many subprime mortgages to poor people as I can. Let's crash this Wii housing market, baby! Boxing. The sport that movies made exciting and cool. The sport that influencers made lame and predictable. Boxing, it throws you right into the ring. Literally. There are different punches that you can throw here, like little jabs, or full-on jabs, or right hooks, or uppercuts. And using the motion tracking on the controls, you can kind of place where your hands are to block different punches. You can protect your face, or your body, or whatever. But once you're throwing those punches and you land one, that's the time to just absolutely spaz out and throw as many punches as humanly possible. When your opponent gets discombobulated from that punch, you just gotta go in. And after knocking them out, a little timer will pop up that indicates that counts up to 10. And if they don't get up before 10, then, if they stay down after 10, well, then at that point, you're basically Rocky Balboa. That's pretty unlikely because most of the time they will come back awake. But when this happens, their health gets diminished by at least 20%, making it quicker and easier to take them down. This sport is actually kind of tiring. It really puts in the work on your body and on your biceps. Boxing is fun, but after some time, I don't know, this one kind of misses the mark for me a little bit. I can understand how like a 5-year-old with a Wiimote and a nunchuck would love just absolutely spazzing out and throwing their fists and trying to get as many punches out as possible. But for me, the repetition, it just feels like a little much. There's not really enough nuance to it. And obviously would have helped a little bit if the motion controls did what they were actually intended to do. Because they're always just a little bit behind. They're always a little bit off. They're always a little bit not enough, especially when the NPCs are coming for yo. Only part that's really fun about boxing is when you get to the legend himself. Matt. That dude is impossible to beat. Matt? He's my sleep paralysis demon. Besides that, slapping around a Mii that you made can be pretty fun and therapeutic if needed. All these sports, they do have a lot of fun and charm to them, and a great way to introduce this new form of gameplay to the entire world. The art style, the music, the characters, and the gameplay, they all make this game incredibly fun and dope. Alright, you gotta play the game. One way or another, you gotta figure out how to get your hands on Wii Sports again. The most obvious way to go about this would probably be just, be digging out the Wii from the back of your entertainment console, finding an AV to HDMI connector and playing that bad boy on your big screen. And if you don't have a Wii, surprisingly, Wii is probably one of those consoles that is actually very cheap in the retro gaming market. Some GameStops, even have them in stock. You can always try to finesse one off eBay, Facebook Marketplace, or just hit up your family and friends and see if your neighbor next door still has one hidden behind the stack of erotic fiction that she has that she's trying to hide from her husband. And if you don't have a Wii, well, Nintendo, they actually just released Nintendo Switch Sports, and
it's absolutely garbage.
I've actually never even played it, but I can just look at it and tell that it's incredibly stupid. If worse comes to worse, you could always just hop on Google and you could type out these letters that I'm about to say in this order super quick. All right, here we go. Ready? I'm going to do it real fast. So DOLPHIN. And to go in tandem with that, cop one of these bad boys off Amazon too. Makes the whole experience worth it. What's your favorite game to play on Wii Sports? Did you have a family member throw a remote directly through a plasma screen TV while they were trying to bowl? Did you get a mind flex as a kid? Should we enact a class action lawsuit 15 years too late? Let me know in the comments. And as always, this channel was made to promote my band, buddy. Go check out our debut album. Please. It's really good. I like it. All right. This is it. Cornborn. Signing out.